All right, starting off with Magic the Gathering. This is TD Finance. Hashtag not your financial advice. We did skip a week last week. There were some interesting winners, just like Starting Town, which got up to $60, but of course it stabilized immediately down to 15. So we're definitely gonna skip that. Yuna was definitely the winner last week as well. She reached out to 23, but now she's dipping. I could see her spiking up after the Pro Tour this weekend because she is definitely a very strong contender in the standard meta game, even especially since we'll be having a ban list announcement on the 30th. So you definitely, if you can find a cheap copy of Yuna, that would be super awesome. Otherwise, let's talk about the winners for this week. Starting off with Buster Sword, the infamous sword by Cloud Strife in Final Fantasy VII. It's +3 +2 stats. Whenever equipped creature deals damage, combat damage to a player, draw a card, then cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage without paying its mana cost. So if you equip it on Cloud, you get double trigger, and then you can cast 5 costs or less twice, which is a pretty good deal if you're playing those decks. Now it's sitting at $60, almost 60, because of the supply. The supply is running low, and for an artifact that's not, or rather an equipment that's not legendary, these are crazy numbers. But of course, main reason is it's very popular in your commander decks. With Cloud X Soldier, definitely a Naya based equipment deck, very on theme, and he's holding the Buster Sword already. So he's very powerful if he gets to roll with the damages. And Lightning Army of One, very strong as well, gets to double damage everything until your next turn. And a very interesting card to look at is, or rather, deck to look at is Captain America First Avenger, which you can throw your equipments. Quite interesting choice of a commander right there. So yeah, that's why everyone's getting a piece of, and you only need one copy. That's pretty much why Buster Sword, even though it's in standard, it's very high in value right now because you only need one copy. So and the demand is still there. Supply is super low right now. We're just waiting for the reprint. Hopefully, Wizards gets to pull through in July. Next card to look at is Bahamut from Final Fantasy X. This is one of Yuna's most sought after summons. It can destroy 2 permanents. You can draw 2 cards and then deals damage equal to the mana value of other permanents you control to each opponent. So which is insane. The total, it says total mana. So if you have like Bahamut and then summon Knights of the Round or even the Overlords, yeah, it's pretty much game over with Mega Flare. So it's a huge win con. Sitting at $33 right now with a $4 uptick. So of course, it's very popular in Commander. You just need one copy, and you can definitely even use it in the Yuna Commander deck. But the most popular would be the Absent Summons right now, or even the Naya variant. It's definitely in Standard. You're playing around with the Overlords, the Beanstalks, but you have to find a way to mill your enchantments. So you can cheat in with Yuna. And then you have Terra, Magical Adept, and Tom Bombadil, where you have the recursion of just playing all your sagas over and over again, and then go for ton of value. So that's why the price is going up for this card. And of course, last but not least, for standard, we have Bristly Bill Spine Sower. This has been going around for quite a while. It's heavily used in Commander, but there hasn't been anything interesting in Standard or even in any constructed decks. Because its landfall mechanic hasn't seen any crazy play in the metagame. But going up to $36, it used to be sitting around like 20 to 25. So actually a pretty good uptick for this card. So main reason is, of course, Commander. Tifa Lockhart was definitely one of the most popular commanders right now in the format. But in standard, we also have a great synergy with the new card as well, Tifa. Again, in the mono green aggro, you just pump Tifa and then play a fetch land and just kill your opponent on turn 3. So that's the usual run. And we saw a very interesting deck list in the Japan tournament last week. 92 players, and then someone ran Bristly Bill in in the Jund mid-range deck. So you might want to have a look at that if you're interested in some, fair gameplay of mid-range, because Jund is the expert in those. So again, shout out to everyone tuning in right now. Welcome to the stream, TD Talks, episode number 63. Let's get it. We have giveaways for packs later. So shout out to everyone. Be sure to stick around. Get your thumbs ready because we will be having those giveaways for packs. So, and of course, for modern, we only have 2 cards to look at right now. Not really interested in the loser side because it's just stabilizing. Even the Urza Saga, which we saw the rules change of Urza Saga and losing abilities, it definitely had a huge uptick with the card, but now it's stabilized. It's not as crazy as people think it would be, but it is a decent buff. So the card that we'll be looking at right now for the winners is Quicksilver Elemental from Mirrodin. So imagine a 50-cent card just went up to 44 in a span of a month. Of course, the obvious reason is that Vivi is the best card that they could pair for this card, because it says it gains all activated abilities of target creature until end of turn for just blue mana, and you may spend blue mana, so it were any mana of any color to pay the activation ability cost of Quicksilver Elemental's abilities. So if you have both Vivi and Quicksilver, you're pretty much going to have infinite mana right off the spot. So that's why, and Vivi, again, is another popular commander right now, is also thriving in Standard. I'm not sure if the people are going to try in Modern, because 5 mana is pretty steep to cast in Modern right now. So that's why. But in Commander, you definitely it's super easy to pull off with those two cards right there to win the game. Another card to look at is Harmonic Prodigy, a huge uptick after Final Fantasy. Went up to $14 for the past week. So very interesting card. It gives extra trigger ability for shamans and wizards. And it has prowess, so you can definitely deal a lot of damage with this card. So reason for that is all of these commander cards that you're seeing on the screen, very popular right now. Vivi, Kuja, and interesting card to look at is Storm, Force of Nature. If you guys are not familiar with her, she's from the Secret Lair Drop Marvel series, where you saw earlier Captain America being featured. There's also Wolverine and Black Panther. So Storm is also one of them. The interesting thing about Storm is that she's not a wizard or a shaman, but all of her cards in her deck are mostly wizards and shamans. So because if she deals damage, all of your spells have Storm until end of turn, or rather the next instant or sorcery gets Storm, which is the namesake of her deck. So very interesting that she's been featured heavily in most of the commander decks right now. But the obvious ones are Vivi and Kuja. Kuja, basically when he flips, all of your wizards deal double damage. So you can definitely kill the entire board with just him alone and a bunch of wizards. So there you have it. Of course, the sealed product featured of the week is none other than the collector boosters from Final Fantasy. It's insane. Sitting from $600 in pre-orders, now going up to $750, $800. Now we're peaking at almost $900. If you can see at the highest sale price, there was one box sold for $1,000, which is insane. So just because people are still looking for that traveling chocobo, the serialized version, so far we've seen or we've heard 15 already discovered. This was last week's price, but this is the listed one. So I think I saw one already going down to $60,000. This is insane. It's already beating the numbers of the, what do you call this? Your typical Black Lotus prices. So it's already competing with that. So that just goes to show that everyone's just going insane for looking for this chocobo. And on top of that, it's getting harder for collector boosters to be found because of the supply issue with this set. And then of course you have the traveling chocobo Japanese exclusive, which is running around $3,000. You can only get this in Japanese, but they are available in the collector boosters. And of course, Ishtola is probably one of the most expensive non-chocobo cards in the set, running at 500 USD, give or take. This is the Surge foil, by the way, guys. So that's like the highest rarity for or the foiling for those cards. So uh, there you have it. That's the TD Finance for Magic. Let's move on to One Piece and Card Fight Vanguard. On to you, G bro.
Thank you, Jers. Here we are for One Piece. It's Buggy OP03 number 8. It's one of the searchers used in the new Rayleigh deck in OP12. It's currently being used in Red Rayleigh and being printed a year ago. It's getting much more expensive, so get a set now. But a reprint has been confirmed for pre-RB2, so if you are willing to wait, just wait for that instead. Next here is Monkey D. Garp, a new powerful top end for blue in the latest set. It might see play in the future as blue navy decks because of its simple and powerful effect. And then lastly is Cavendish, a very important card in Green Bonnie and the new Green Zoro, especially now that Bonnie is receiving a starter deck and there is still no confirmation of a reprint of this card. So if you want to build Bonnie or Zoro, you probably should buy a set of this card right now. So that's it for One Piece. For Vanguard, it's High Five, one of the most sought after cards in the June to July 2025 promo packs. This one card is what is needed to make Liscafiel a very popular Divine Skill deck, a contender in the current meta, pushing it into Tier 1 status. Last week, multiple top cut placements have been claimed by Lescafiel, particularly in the LM Cup due to this one card. If you want to win an LM Cup event and get those Mikoto energy generator, you need to invest in this card. Hopefully, we'll be getting our own stock this week. So, because I'm pretty sure people are excited for this one. So, next year is Gamer Exorcist Todomiko. It's an alternate art reprint of one of the strongest Keter Sanctuary cards, Selgaon. And but despite being weaker than Selgaon due to lacking the high beast race, the skill is also the most important part. So you can see why it's very expensive because the skill itself is very strong and Vanguard players are starved for Selgaon reprints. If you still don't have a playset of Selgaon or Todomiko, just wait for another reprint because it's almost nearing to Selgaon's price right now. And then lastly here is Opener of Heart Philia. It's slowly picking up in price as the Volume 1 manga is slowly no longer available in local stores. And one of the newer and stronger decks in the latest set in Japan, BT9, uses Philia to its full advantage. So pick up your playset now if you want to play Heart Lulu before the manga fully goes out of stock. So you can still pick up some Philias and Volume 1 here at TD.
Oh,
So
so that's the card
yeah,
in
in
the
the
manga.
manga.
So volume one. But when is volume two coming out again?
That's in July.
July. So it's very fast. Yeah, we still have a couple of the manga volume ones here in Top Deck. So be sure to order yours today. You can order it through our website as well. So there you have it. Let's move on to the next segment, which is Top Deck of the Week. All right, top deck of the week. We got a very interesting deck to look at right now. I'm pretty sure everyone's worried, especially those who built their Zor enchantment decks. What are we gonna do after rotations coming in this August? Since Dominaria, Phyrexia, all those sets are coming out. March of the Machines, they're definitely gonna be out of standard. So you got cards like Lockdown, Leyline Binding, even Zor himself is going to be going out of standard. So what's the next best enchantment deck coming in? So fear not, we got Yuna. We got the summons deck in standard right now. So how does it work? You just mill your enchantments with Terra, Town Greeter. There's a lot of ways to mill. This is the Naya variant, so you can also see Rydia in the mix from Final Fantasy, where you just play a land and then you discard draw. So it gives you a ton of value. It still has the enchantment deck, enchantment shell, which has up the beanstalk, lane 9 binding, and overlords to help you wrap into your big spells like Yuna. And then Yuna is your core card where she reanimates all your any one of your enchantments in the field. So your best target is definitely summon Bahamut or even Knights of the Round or even your overlords in Leyline Binding. So there's a lot of choices to be had. Upside is unlike Zor, um, you basically get to cheat in right away your enchantments. Uh, and then Zor, it gives some kind of protection as well during your turn, so your opponent has to kill it on his or her turn. But Zor, on the other hand, only gives like one. I'm not sure. I forgot what buff Zor gives, like ward one, whereas Yuna is like ward two. Yeah, for all enchantments. So they have to kill Yuna and then they have to kill the enchantment. So there you have it. Downside is she is 5 mana, so you really have to commit to her mana base, or rather the mana cost, compared to Zur, where yes, it's still technically 5 mana. And then he just animates the Overlord. But if you don't have any enchantments on the field, Zor kind of feels awkward. So having Yuna in the mix is very powerful. So typical play patterns. There you go. You mill. You discard your summons. Even Titan is a pretty good card because you can just cast him on turn 4 or 5 if you can ramp up. So the pros and cons: massive card advantage. You're playing up the beanstalk, so you're definitely not going to run out of cards in this deck. Flexible removal. You have Leyline Binding, temporary lockdown to deal with the aggro decks or even the combo decks, taking out of their omniscience. If you have multiple removals, spot removals in your hand, and then very resilient in late game because all your summons have super powerful effects when they enter the battlefield. And I believe Summon Bahamut, as we've talked about earlier in the TD Finance, it's pretty much game ending if you have a lot of enchantments on the field. Just deal a bunch of damage to your opponent. Synergy driven, everything works with Yuna. Even with Terra helps you find that enchantment to help you dig for more. If you're going for the Abzan variant, you can dig for an Overlord of the Bailmerk. The Bailmerk also helps you find what do you call this? Yuna herself, because she's a non-avatar creature. And then very toolbox summons, especially the Knights of the Round, where you can basically like flood the board if you don't have the Overlord white. The cons of the deck is the mana base. Of course, it's 3 color. It's very complicated to pilot, especially if you don't if you don't properly sequence your land drops, and if you don't have the Overlord early in the game. The Haunt Woods, the green one, where it helps you ramp, and it gives you the all color land, the Everywhere token. So, and it's very slow. It's a very slow deck. It only gets going on the first 4 or 5 turns. So in the first 3 turns, you got to set up your mana base. Try to delay as much as possible with the lockdowns. Very vulnerable to enchantment hate. So there's a lot of disenchant effects in the metagame right now. And with the prowess deck, they're just relying so much on the bounce effects, like Into the Flood Maw and This Town Ain't Big Enough, just to tempo you out of the game. And sometimes it gets clunky hands. Many high cost cards, if they're just sitting in your hand and you don't have cards like Rydia, Terra, or even Up the Beanstalk to trying to get those cards out of your hand early in the field, that's where you start losing the games. So final thoughts, very flavorful. I love it. Yuna is your powerful mage or summoner in Final Fantasy X. So her seeing like her effect, bringing back the summons is pretty much flavor win for me. So if you're a big fan of the series and the characters as well, definitely be sure to pick up this deck and play your next FNM or store champs. So, and this is like one of the very strong decks that are very resilient to the what do you call this? The rotation coming up in Edge of Eternities. So definitely have a look out, especially in the Pro Tour this weekend. There might be some players signing up for this deck, although it is quite dangerous to go up against the prowess deck. So they are pretty fast, but if they have some technology against those decks, I'm pretty sure we're going to be very excited to see these decks thrive too. So Delirium shall rise. Yeah, I can see a lot of popularity in your side, guys, in TD League and with that deck. So that's my top deck of the week. Let's move on to One Piece and Cardfight Vanguard.
5 mana, face my rats. Okay, now it's for One Piece with Blue Kuzan. Kuzan turns your cost into an advantage. When you discard for card effects, Kuzan lets you draw the same number you discarded. So, for example, if you discarded 2 for Nami's effect, Kuzan will let you draw 2 more cards. So, using your Navy character's effects without any doubt in your mind, Kuzan nets you an advantage while you pay for these costs. And use this powerful blue events such as Gomu Gomu no Red Rock and Gravity Blade to control the opponent's board. So, pros, leader skill is an advantage that lets you recoup the cost of your effects. And blue has bounce and deck talk effects to control the board. Cons are monocolored leader means you won't have any access to the good navy cards in other colors, especially black, since black has most of the good navy searchers. And it requires thinking ahead because discarded cards cannot be re-added to hand or to deck. So, final thoughts. It's a deck that has shaken up the metagame. Kuzan allows the player to not be afraid of using their effects due to the leader skill recouping the card cost of discarding cards. This allows Navy decks full advantage of using their effects to control the board. In conjunction with powerful blue events, the opponent's tempo will be hampered. However, being a monocolored deck, you do not have access to the power cost reducers or other effects in blacks. Nonetheless, the deck is already showing great results in early testing of the OP12 metagame. So that's it for One Piece. Next year is Vanguard. So topic of the week is Leah L. Odium. So it basically has gotten a lot of new cards in BT7. So new support is Instant Asunder Colossus gives the deck more breathing room by giving the deck an additional card it can place as a gauge early on. Additionally, it serves as a nice way to dump extra resources into card draw. And while the deck never had any counterblast issues, Zimri aids the deck by giving it a countercharger if need be. So while there is very little chances to be damage choke, this makes sure you will never have any counterblast problem, especially in your divine skill turns. So in a quick glance, the new support gives the deck more ways to spend its resources and get back resources if need be. And then Colossus is a very big upgrade for the deck as an additional early gauge target while being able to net you extra card draws. But despite this, the new support does not fix the issues of the deck on being reliant on being able to see and playing Distorted Bane every turn. The new support tends to be more quality of life change rather than fixing the obvious holes in the deck. So final thoughts is the new support gives the deck much needed quality of life changes that allow the deck more ways to spend and conserve resources. And while the new support is nice, it does not solve the fundamental issue of the deck having to look for distorted Bane every turn. So, but overall, it's a non-issue as the deck was already strong before the new support, and it only gets stronger the more support Odium gets. So that's it for One Piece and Vanguard for their top deck of the week.
All right. Thank you so much, Gibro number two. Let's move on to the last segment of the stream before we get to our giveaway. Guys, don't forget, we are having a giveaway, so get your thumbs ready. This is Judge Call. Take it away, Carlo G. All right, starting off with Magic the Gathering, we got a very interesting card to look at here. It's Vincent's Limit Break. If you read the card, it says, until end of turn, target creature you control gains when this creature dies, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and has the chosen base power and toughness, which has the tiered effect. Gallant Beast is 3-2, Death Gigas is 5-2, Hellmasker is 7-2. So the judge question here is Shinji casts Vincent's Limit Break on his Grizzly Bears with Gallant Beast as the choice. So making it a 3-2. So the question is, if Grizzly Bears dies on the same turn, what will its power and toughness look like after the effect resolves?
It will be 8-2.
All right, let's try to break down. Yep, that's the correct answer, Ron Monley. Thank you for that. So why is it a 2-2? Because of the ruling CR 400.7, if an object that moves from one zone to another becomes a new object with no memory of or relation to its previous existence. So yeah, it turned into a 3-2 when Vincent's Limit Break resolved on Grizzly Bears. So when Grizzly Bears died, it returns back to its original power and toughness, which is a 2-2. So when it changed zone from the graveyard and then back to the battlefield, it lost its memory of having Vincent's limit break effect being buffed on the Grizzly Bears. So that's why. All right, thank you so much for the answer, guys. Got some pretty smart
I
players right
actually
here.
thought it had to die before it become a 3-2. It actually becomes a 3-2
Yeah,
before
that's
it
why
dies.
that's
Yeah.
why I picked this judge call right here, because the wording of Vincent's limit break is super confusing. It really messed up some of the people, especially during the pre-release. So you got to read your cards, guys, before you get them to resolve. So there's your Magic the Gathering judge call. Let's move on to One Piece and Card Fight Vanguard.
Okay, here we are for One Piece. Judge call. Busoy has Kuzan as his leader. He plays Garp and uses the effect. Garp has the effect on play, trash one card from your hand, and play up to one Navy type character with 8,000 or less from your hand. Assuming that the card he draws from Kuzan is a Navy type character, can he play it for Garp's effect? So basically, again, he plays Garp, discards a card, and can play a blue Navy type character. But when a card is trashed, Kuzan can let you draw a card. So the question here is really, can you draw first and then play it with Garp?
I would say no, because I believe there isn't really that much of a stack in One Piece. So you have to resolve uh, all the effects that enter first, and then do the effects that follow up after. So I would say he has to trash a card and play the Navy before he gets to draw from Kuzan.
Yes,
That
basically that is correct. So yeah,
yeah.
you can only draw from Kuzan after all effects has resolved, meaning you have to call a card from Garp first before you draw a card. So yeah, Jerson is correct.
All
So
right. So yeah, I remember there were a lot of instances where we did a judge call with stacking. Apparently in One Piece, it's not the same with Magic where it's first in last out, whereas in One Piece it's first in first out. So if an effect enters on the stacks per se, it resolves first, and then any other effects following after gets to resolve right after that. So why is everyone claiming that Busoy is a cheater? What the hell? Okay, so there you have it for our judge call.
oh, what is Vanguard?
Oh yeah, there you go. I almost forgot about that.
So there,
There's
there you go.
Vanguard.
So one last for Vanguard. So why is Anjo allowed to run 4 copies of Fantasy Petal Storm Shirayuki and 4 copies of Six Flowers of Phantasm Shirayuki, which says this card is also regarded as a Fantasy Petal Storm Shirayuki, while Anton is not allowed to have more than a combination of 4 copies of Selgaon and Todomiko in his main deck. So both cards are regarded as the previous one.
Mhm.
So why?
Because they're regarded as the same name of the card. So I guess that's the restriction of not having 4 copies.
Yeah. So basically, the answer here is, if you go back to the previous slide, Shirayuki has a zone requirement for its effect. So it's treated as Shirayuki while in the deck or in the drop zone, while Todomiko is regarded as Selgaon at all points in the game. So while deck building, Shirayuki is not treated because it zones are only zones generally only occur while in the middle of the game. So while it's not in the zone, Shirayuki is treated as a different card, while Todomiko, its effect is active at all points. So even while deck building, it's still treated as Selgaon.
Oh, there's a difference, right?
Yes.
With the deck and drop zone versus
Just the effect.
the effect overall. Interesting. So what's the implication of that? So which one doesn't let him allow to have more than 4 copies?
The Todomiko one, because
The Miko.
it doesn't have a restriction on the zones of having when it's going to have the same name. Because Shirayuki needs to be in the deck to have the same name, while the other one doesn't have to be. It's always treated as Salgaon, even while you're building the deck.
Okay, okay. So yeah, that's me. That I don't get it at
It's fine.
all. So can I have more copies of Shirayuki?
Yeah, you basically are.
More than
because
4.
because it has to be in the middle of the game to be treated as the other one.
Ah,
basically
okay,
like that.
okay. All right, so that makes it simpler. Thank you for that, G bro. Number 2. So shout out to you, and hopefully we'll be seeing you guys in the TD Festival, guys, August 22 to 24. It's the what do you call this? The TD Festival coming in at Top Deck Games this coming August. Let me just pull this out right here. Boom! We got the poster right here. It's new colors, new theme, same what do you call this? Same events or even more events rather. We'll be having TCGs such as Magic, One Piece, Pokemon, Cardfight Vanguard, uh, and of the likes, even Flesh and Blood and Grand Archive. We'll also have cosplays. We'll also have Warhammer as well as Beyblade. We have big tournaments coming your way here in Top Deck Festival. So save the dates today. I would highly recommend checking GC Suites. Shout outs to Nigel and the gang for reserving some of the best spaces. If you want to sign up for a TD Festival, be sure to book your accommodations as early as today because sometimes it just gets sold out immediately. So there you have it. So, all right, very exciting times here at Top Deck Games. We can't wait to see you in the big events. So more details come hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So this is TD Bapo with G Bro number 2. We'll be signing off. See you next week, guys. Hope to see you as well in the I think we're gonna have a watch party in Final Fantasy Pro Tour this weekend. So if you guys are interested in that, we'll be at the Discord channel. So all right, peace out, guys. Bye.